Afternoon for another one of our diversity and inclusion webinars. So today we'll be looking at what really can be done in the space of attracting more female students to cybersecurity degrees, as you can see from the title there. If you attended our last webinar, you'll know that we touched upon this issue of gender disparity on the previous webinar, and today we aim to look much more closely at this from more of an academic perspective. Before we get started, I will just quickly run you through our house rules. Just to let you know, you will be muted throughout the webinar, so we can't hear you or see you, but please do type any questions you have, any question at all, through to us using the Q&A box, which I think is at the bottom of your screen. As you will see soon, we do have a couple of different panelists as well. So if there is a specific question you want to ask to a specific speaker, please just let us know who you want us to ask that to. That would be really helpful. Otherwise, if you want to ask a more general question, that's absolutely fine. We can open it up to everybody as well. Hopefully you don't have any issues today. Hopefully everything is works smoothly. But if you do, please do email us at that email address on the screen now, which is support@ciisec.org, and we'll hopefully be able to pick up any issues you have and sort that out for you and get you back in and sorted. So now that that part has been covered, we'll just get things started. So how the webinar will run today is that we will start off by handing over to Dr. Yulia Cherdanzova, who is a lecturer at Cardiff University. And I won't say too much because I know Yulia has her own introductions to give, but Yulia does have a really impressive amount of industry experience and is very passionate about the topic of equality and diversity in this space. So we'll start by handing over to Yulia, who will provide us with some background and some statistics on this area, and then we'll be moving on to some introductions to our other panelists, who I believe are some of Yulia's students, and we'll be moving on to more of a panelist discussion, and hopefully we'll get some great questions and answers going there. Over to you, Yulia, to get us started.
That's great. Thank you so much, Sophie, and thank you for this opportunity to talk to the members of the Chartered Institute of Information Security. So I'm a lecturer in cybersecurity. I teach cybersecurity. I do research in cybersecurity for over 10 years now. And as a cybersecurity skills lead at the School of Computer Science, I'm very interested in how our female students are doing in our degrees, how we can attract more female students into cybersecurity careers and into cybersecurity degrees as a pathway really into a career in cybersecurity. I will share my slides with you. Just 1 second. So assuming that you can all see the slides, this is a quick overview of today's event. I'm calling it an interactive webinar. I really like to talk to people and to my students when I run the sessions. It's a shame we cannot see all of you, but we will have some interactive part where you will be able to provide your comments and your contribution to this discussion as well. So don't worry, there will be opportunity for everyone to engage. So today, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about the area to provide some background, and I call it the leaky pipeline. And this metaphor comes from one of the recent reports on women in cybersecurity and the lack of engagement from women in cybersecurity, really. And I will explain it in a minute. Then we will have a panel discussion, as Sophie said, and there will be a Q&A element to this discussion where we will invite questions from the audience. And finally, today we have Susan with us, who is coordinating our outreach activities at the School of Computer Science and Informatics. And Susan will give us a quick overview of all the amazing initiatives that we have and that we are running to encourage girls into careers in cybersecurity and in computer science. So I'm going to start this discussion from a historical overview. So it starts in 1792. I believe there were women before that time who were fighting for women's rights, but I just start there. Mary Wollstonecraft, who is the mother of Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, and she was really passionate about women's education. So she was running her own school at some point, and she was saying that women are not naturally inferior to men, but appear to be only because they lack education. I think that was a very progressive idea for that particular time. Other ideas that she was promoting, that women should be educated in a rational manner, and that society really should give them opportunity to contribute in a good way to the progress. And society will degenerate without educated women. So very progressive ideas for the time. Now we move 150 years later. Women in Bletchley Park, during the Second World War, 75% of staff at Bletchley Park were women, not the fact that everyone is aware about. So we typically see all the male characters, which also had very important role to play, but the role of women is not that proactively kind of promoted. One of the characters, and there were many women who deserve attention, and I just wanted to mention Joanne Clark. So she was a cryptanalyst, and she really played an important role in the Enigma project, which we probably all know about. And she gained double first degree in mathematics from Cambridge, but they didn't give her a full degree because a full degree was only awarded to men at the time. So you do all the studies, but you don't get the award. You don't get a degree because you're female. So very, very unfair. So luckily, we are not there anymore. So university doors are open equally to male and female students, but we are facing slightly different problem now. Kind of going back to this contribution to society and opportunity to contribute to society in a rational way, we all know that there is a workforce gap, and there is a massive shortage of qualified cybersecurity professionals in the world. So I'm showing here a graph from 2019 workforce study, which shows that overall globally there is a shortage as big as 4 million positions. So, and you can see the split by different continents here. So it's very clear from all the statistics and with that massive gap that cybersecurity is an area where women can really make a significant contribution by addressing that gap for helping to protect society and our information in the digital world. There are many other studies that confirm these assumptions, that confirm this fact of absolutely massive shortage of skills in cybersecurity. Very often it relates to technical skills, and many reports say that it's the technical skills which are lacking in cybersecurity. And one of the recent CIISec studies, it also showed that IT talent is one of the top concerns for IT leaders, for executives, for organizational leaders, and one of the hardest areas to fill is cybersecurity. So it's really hard to find qualified cybersecurity professionals, and many studies evidence that problem. So this term, the leaky pipeline, which I've mentioned at the beginning, so it comes from the Australian study. It was a literature review published in 2017, looking at this, at the problem and at the low engagement of female students and generally of women in cybersecurity. So looking at some statistics in industry, only 11% workforce were female professionals in 2017. Then we can see some improvement. 2019, 24% of cybersecurity professionals were women. We have to be very careful about the statistics because obviously the studies, they use slightly different methodology. At some point, they did not include part-time staff, then they included the part-time staff into that statistics. So we have to take that statistics with great caution, though I would like to hope that there is some positive progress and the number of women in cybersecurity gradually improving and increasing. So in 2017, at the university level, women accounted for only 1 in 4 graduates. So only 1 in 4 graduates were female students. So it's a very, I would say, upsetting statistics and very surprising statistics, because overall women account for 65% of graduates, but it is only 33% in mathematics and only 13% in ICT. With that kind of knowing that statistic, so we know that women are not well represented in ICT programs, university degrees, and it's a well-known problem that we actually lose female talent throughout that pipeline. So it's starting from the primary school, moving to the secondary school, and with every step in that pipeline, moving further to the university degree, we lose the percentages at every step. So neuroscience studies, they show that there are no fundamental differences, or there is no gap in abilities between women and men. So girls, some of the studies demonstrated that girls do equally well in computer science and in mathematics. So there is no reason to believe that there is a lack of talent. However, there are certainly some underlying problem which would explain why we are losing girls at every step, and why they're not progressing their careers in STEM subjects and in computer science and cybersecurity more specifically. Some of the possible reasons for the lack of engagement is it's a perceived efficacy. The girls perceive them to be less efficient in computer science and in STEM subjects in general, and that on its own may lead to poorer performance. So they're certainly not performing worse than boys because they lack talent, but it's because of the perceived self-efficacy problems. They may be just not engaging equally well in STEM subjects. It's a confidence problem as well. Research shows that on average girls, they have less confidence, but more anxiety regarding mathematics and other STEM subjects. There may be some issues with cultural beliefs and attitude on student performance as well. It may be the lack of awareness about computer science, and specifically awareness about cybersecurity as a possible career path. So those just some of the ideas to explain that low engagement of female students in cybersecurity. So now I would like to move to our panel discussion, and I will introduce our panelists, and then I will pass it over to them to talk a little bit about their background. So today we have with us Matilda, who is a research scientist in Airbus, Cyber Innovation and Scouting Lab. Matilda did her MSc and her PhD at the School of Computer Science and Informatics at Cardiff University. We also have Irina, who is our MSc student. She's doing MSc Cybersecurity, and she's thinking about continuing into a PhD in cybersecurity as well. And we have Maria, who is our 3rd year computer science student. She's very interested in cybersecurity, and she's currently doing a project in IoT security. So Matilda, I will pass it over to you now. Would you please introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your background, please?
Hi, yes, thank you, Julia, and for the introduction. As Julia said, I did my master's and PhD at Cardiff, but I didn't start at university doing even computer science, let alone cybersecurity. What you said about awareness really resonated with me. I didn't even consider cybersecurity as a career at all when I was leaving school. I did a social science degree to start with, and then I was very unhappy with the job options that were open to me. I did try working in a few sectors before I did a conversion master's to computer science at Cardiff. So one kind of lesson I would say from that is that you can always change what you're doing at any point further down the line. And I think that there is a lot of anxiety about especially having the technical knowledge to do cyber security, and I felt a bit worried about that during my master's. I had classes with people who were much more experienced with programming than I was, but I think the way to handle that is to see it as an opportunity. You know, if you have someone more experienced sitting next to you, you can just really pick their brain and they can bootstrap your learning in that environment quite quickly. That was a kind of advantage I found of it. I think another one of the statistics that I kind of recognize from when I've been to security conferences is that there are certain areas of security where you find more women than others. So as you mentioned, there are slightly higher proportion of maths graduates and IT graduates who are women, and are quite often see more women working in like cryptography and coming in from the maths direction and then doing kind of further education in cyber that way. And I think that one of the things that would be great to promote awareness of is the kind of diversity of cyber careers that are out there from the beginning, because some of them do require very deep technical knowledge, and if you know about that early on, you can start kind of targeting that area. So I don't want to take up too much time. I think that's all I have to say, and maybe I'll pass on to Maria or Irina, who's next.
Thank you so much, Matilda. Irina, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hello. I'm Irina. I'm a master's student in cybersecurity. As you saw from the introduction last summer, I graduated from Cardiff University in computer science. I specialize in security and forensics. But honestly, yeah, I have like a lot of background. Mine is related to cybersecurity, but honestly, at the beginning, like when I finished school, I never thought that I will be in cyber, because I always was misunderstood this subject, because I thought that is heavy maths or something like that. So honestly, I think this is the main problem, that people or women don't understand actually what the cybersecurity is, because basically they have maybe some like misrepresenting of movies or something, but actually what we see on TV or what we heard from other people is not actually what this is. So when I started computer science subject, I started to learn something about IoT, about medical devices. So this is the reason why I'm thinking about to do PhD with medical devices. Especially like when I done my bachelor project in IoT security. So basically this is actually gave me a good insight what the problem like in real life now, and also but how I also noticed how like just few girls in my course were, because when we started we had about 200 people students, so it was amazing, but only like 2 girls from my course actually did cybersecurity related subjects. So I was really like I didn't understand at that time why it was that problem. So honestly, like, because also you could see from my introduction that I'm STEM ambassador at Cardiff University. So I'm delivering different sessions for children on this, but also I was hosting some open days events for applicants. So basically I met like last 2 events, I met more girls than before. So I really happy with this increase in numbers of applicants for cybersecurity related subject. But again, I just thinking maybe it's just not enough awareness of actually subject is. Because, for example, during my master's degree, I learned like it's not about only programming, not only about maths or something, etc., but also how to understand what the threat is. It is. So in businesses, we're about different roles. So now it's more diverse cybersecurity, I would say. It's not only like some technical issues. It's also something not really related. So yeah, it's just my understanding of how was it. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions. Because as I said, like 5 years ago, I was just a writer. I published book and this was my direction. But now I'm a cybersecurity student, MSc. So basically this is like just in 5 years. So I like Yulia mentioned many things about talent, but also it's about determination and don't just be confident. Like I faced so many challenges during these 5 years, but honestly, with each challenge, I just learned that nothing is impossible. That's all. So please, I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Irina. Yeah, that's a very positive and empowering statement. That's great. Maria, it's over to you now.
Thanks, Julia. My name's Maria. I do a bachelor's degree in computer science, but I've chosen modules that's specific to cybersecurity, like forensics and Julia's cybersecurity for all module. I've catered my dissertation as well towards cybersecurity, where I'm doing an Internet of Things penetration test, where I need to find the smart plugs vulnerabilities and suggest some safety measures where that I can give. When I was in secondary school, I was actually doing biology. I was going to apply to do biology for university, and I'd always wanted to do computer science, but and I would go and sit in my friend's computer science class and get involved with a lesson. But no, I'd never really thought that I could do it because I didn't really think I had the right A levels. But now I know that all you really need is a passion for technology and problem solving. There also weren't any girls in my computer science class in my secondary school, and I found this to be quite intimidating. And I know plenty of girls who didn't actually do computer science because they said that it's like a boys' subject. And I know girls now that think the same, like my sister was choosing her modules for school and she just didn't even consider computer science because there was no girls in her class that were going to do it. But when I came to university, I saw that there were a lot more girls in the class, which means that something is kind of working, but there needs to be more done. And overall, I've had a really positive experience doing cybersecurity at Cardiff. And it's really lovely to see a lot of female lecturers teaching my modules and helping out, which I had never seen before, because I hadn't really had any female ICT teachers, let alone computer science teachers. So I think that is a great way to encourage more girls, get more like female teachers involved. I think that big organizations need to also visit schools and talk about women's success stories in cybersecurity, and it needs to be encouraged more at subject evenings and careers evenings. But in the future, I'd like to carry on with cybersecurity, hopefully when I finish my master's. And yeah.
That's great, Maria. I think there are lots of very interesting ideas, and we will come back to them just in a moment. So now we will have our Q&A session and an interactive part. So I can see that we have quite a lot of participants. So what we will now do, I have 3 questions for discussion. So 1 moment, I will share my screen with you. So this is the set of questions that we have. So what are the reasons for the low engagement of female students in computer science and cybersecurity? What are the challenges of studying on a cybersecurity degree? And we are talking about university's degree, undergrad and masters and PhDs. And how could girls be better supported and encouraged to consider a career in cybersecurity and a cybersecurity degree as a pathway into such career? So I also have a Mentimeter set up for all of you to engage. And I will share just in 1 second. So you can see the questions on the screen. And this is the Mentimeter interactive slides. So you can see the code for this presentation on the slide. If you go to menti.com and enter the code provided here, you will see the questions and you can enter your responses. So this is not for our panelists, but it's for other participants who cannot just switch on their microphones and contribute. So please do contribute your opinions using menti.com as a medium for providing your feedback. So we will start the discussion of the first question. So the audience can send questions for our panelists through the chat function in Zoom, through the Q&A function in Zoom. And we will answer those questions as well. And the audience, please do provide your feedback through menti.com. Right, so we'll start with the first question. What are the reasons for the low engagement of female students in computer science and in cybersecurity? So would anyone like to start the discussion? Matilda?
Yes, sorry, I was just trying to read some of the points. I think that when I was considering what to study undergrad, I just never crossed my mind to look at cyber, and I think it's frankly because I'd never seen somebody who I could identify with in the media, you know, TV and film, but also we had kind of careers evenings at schools, and they were people's parents basically volunteered to come in, and you know, if the numbers are low anyway, the chances of you getting of somebody's mum working in cyber was quite low, and I remember my eyes being open to some careers that I hadn't ever heard of or hadn't kind of considered, but none of them were cyber. And I think Maria makes a great point that going around to schools could be very effective. I know that I think in Scotland they have a program to kind of get primary school kids engaged in cyber. They do a kind of tour, or they engage a set of speakers and get them to go round, but maybe it's something that needs to happen. I don't know what the target age point exactly is, and I also wonder, we've seen the impact of certain popular Netflix series on how many people are playing chess. I wonder if somebody could write a similar kind of cyber, a Miss Robot, if you will, something like that. I think could go quite a long way, but that's very much outside of my skill set.
I think that's a brilliant idea. So film industry would certainly help us to increase the number of women in cybersecurity. That's very interesting. Thank you, Matilda. Irene and Maria, do you have any comments on this question? So what are the reasons for the low engagement of female students in computer science and in cybersecurity?
Honestly, it just reminds me about one case when last year I worked as a STEM ambassador. I was helping deliver a session on cybersecurity to A-level students from the PwC company. So what I noticed there was only one girl who attended. So it was like, maybe we can have like some more sessions to just introduce to cyber, like especially for girls. Maybe just to explain different roles which are available on market now. Like just provide cybersecurity from different perspectives, because maybe there is like expecting too high level of knowledge in cyber, like technical knowledge. So, and sometimes it's not like, I like cybersecurity, but I prefer something like more with like company evaluation, but not actually doing some coding. But maybe this is the same problem, can be. So they just can see cybersecurity from different perspectives, like from businesses, as you provided some really interesting information on your model. So we just they can just see maybe this will help them understand the real situation, not just what is shown or speaken by others.
That's great. Yeah, that's very interesting comment. Thank you, Irina. Maria?
Similarly, I don't think that cybersecurity is really talked about in secondary schools. I know that my secondary school didn't mention anything about cybersecurity, and the only reason I'd ever heard much about it was because of my own research and because I went to a summer school on criminology. But yeah, there's all sorts of talks about being doctors and things like that, but there's not much talks about joining computer science and how important being in tech is.
That's very interesting. I think we clearly identify the problem that there is a lack of information being provided to school children, both maybe primary school is a bit too early, but at secondary, at the level of secondary school, there isn't much information provided about cybersecurity as a future kind of option for, as an option for future career. I think there are clear reasons behind it. So it's generally lack of understanding amongst ICT teachers. It's quite a new domain, so we would not expect all school teachers to know well about cybersecurity. And I think there are clear actions there which are needed, is to raise awareness about cybersecurity as a career among ICT school teachers, so that they can communicate it better to the students. So we also mentioned industry involvement and industry engagement. So industry can certainly arrange more activities and promote cybersecurity as a career. And it was mentioned as well that the diversity or the broad range of careers available in cybersecurity, again, should be highlighted to the students in secondary school, because it's obviously not just a technical discipline. As we all clearly know, there are elements related to social sciences, to psychology, to mathematics, if you're thinking about cryptography, so anything to do with human factor. And there is a law and regulatory element to it as well. So students may look at different areas within cyber, but definitely increasing that level of awareness within secondary schools among teachers, first of all, and then moving it to the students as well. Very good. So we have a range of comments on menti.com. So I would like to encourage our audience to provide comments as well. Yes, Irina?
Could you please share the code again, because somebody asked?
Yep, just 1 second. So
Thank you.
Yep. So I will share the screen. So you will be able to see the question and the code, and you can see the comments provided by the audience as well. So let me just quickly check our Q&A section. So I will leave a couple of minutes for the audience to provide the feedback using menti.com. So we have a question about what could make difference and help to increase the number of girls in cybersecurity, and we will move to that question in a minute. So you can see the code on the screen. Okay, so Cyber Christmas lectures in Scotland. So Daniel is providing this information. So I'm not familiar with that initiative, so we'll trust your knowledge, Daniel, there. So there is a question about engaging with parents and carers as well. So towards kind of to that end, if you think about the Cyber First initiative run by the National Cyber Security Center, events for the younger teenagers, for example, the Cyber First Adventurers and the Cyber First Trailblazers, those sessions, they are designed and arranged in such a way that students should come with the parents and carers. And that idea is explained by the fact that obviously parents and carers, they will help teenagers in choosing the future career, and it's useful for them to be aware about cybersecurity and computer science as a domain as well. So certainly the Cyber First initiative, they recognize this need for informing parents and carers about cybersecurity, as well as the future students as well. Brilliant.
Julia, could I?
Yeah, Matilda?
Sorry, just on the Cyber First initiative, I wonder, I have participated in a day once before, and I think it's a great program.
Sorry, Matilda, I think you're breaking up. Sorry, could you
especially
repeat
children, the parents, as you say, in the Cyber First, does it rely on the parents being willing to bring the children to the event though? So some parents might read it and think, I don't know what that means, and I don't know about that career. I think it's interesting. So it's really the tech savvy and kind of cyber interested parents that get involved with those days in the first place.
I think you are quite right. So, and I've been running the Cyber First Adventurous 3 times over the past couple of years. And you're absolutely right. So the audience is mostly skewed towards tech-savvy parents. And it would be mostly people who know something about IT, or they either work in IT or somehow interested in it. At the same time, we had people who had experience in completely different fields, but they were interested in broadening horizons for their children and just opening opportunities and giving children the opportunity to look at different domains as well. So I think there is this problem of kind of over focus and attention. Obviously, Cyber First program will attract attention of those parents who know about IT a bit more, but there are examples where people come from different domains as well. So let us now move to our next question. So I assume that you can see the screen, and it's the next question on menti.com as well, and the next question for our panelists. What are the challenges of studying on a cybersecurity degree? So if anyone in the audience has experience, please do share your thoughts through menti.com. And I will now pass it over to our panelists who have first-hand experience in studying on a cybersecurity degree. So Maria, is that okay if we start with you?
Yeah, no worries. I think the most challenging part was obviously because I'd never done cybersecurity in the past. The only reason that I had like the skill set to be able to like go forward with that is because I had like a strong knowledge in computer science, and because I'm passionate about the subject. I found it hard to do, but like it's a lot of like complicated information to take in, and I think that people are quite scared of like there's a lot of information, and people are kind of scared about the privacy issues as well. Like cybersecurity kind of seems messing around with, like I find messing around with penetration testing and sniffing around my network. I find it to be, I kind of think I'm doing something illegal. Like so, like it's I find it challenging to kind of wrap my head around the fact that I can't do these things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you, Maria. Irina?
Well, it just also reminds me like the biggest challenge was for myself at the beginning is honestly I had no experience, like because maybe some students they did some programming at school or something like that, but basically when I started everything from scratch. I have to learn programming, I have to learn like computational maths, everything from the beginning. So it was challenging, but basically in 2 years I just did my HND level, So I just learned everything what I have to do for my bachelor degree. And it basically was there was too much of information from different sources. So it was really hard to focus like on some specific what I have to like learn. But later, yes, it's just with time. Basically, the first 2 months, I would say at Cardiff University was hard for me because I have to adapt basically to the race of studying, of the style of studying, of the new subjects, honestly, a new language, programming language. But honestly, after that, it was just I used for that. And I didn't like maths at all at the beginning. Honestly, it was the horrible, like, was my nightmare. But what I would like to highlight in my second and third year at Cardiff University, what like optional modules which I chose, it was math-based. I don't know why, but if I had choose, I always choose maths, even if it's hard. So basically, yes, it was challenging, but it was just the right thing to improve our skills, I think. But again, in cybersecurity, it's just you have to try, because if you don't try, you never know. Maybe it's not so hard as it seems to be. At least for me, this is my opinion.
That's great. Thank you, Irina. That's very interesting. Matilda, so any
Yeah,
challenges? Did you experience any challenges throughout your MSc and PhD?
Definitely, yes. I think one challenge I experienced, not so much in the university, but when I went to conferences to present, people assume that you maybe don't do technical stuff, which is a lot of people in cyber aren't necessarily programming. And I found that a bit jarring at first, but I think that it's actually a kind of secret weapon, because then you can surprise them when you tell them about your work. And I completely agree with what Irina said, that it can feel like really daunting at the beginning. In my master's, I felt like I had really bad technical knowledge, which but I just tried to sign up for things that sounded impossible, because I thought it wouldn't be on the syllabus if you couldn't do it. And generally, you know, all the books are there, your lecturer's there, all of your fellow peers are a resource that you can draw on, and you can do it, basically.
That's music to my ears. So that's the approach to take. If it's on the syllabus, it means you can do it. So we should promote it to the students a bit more. That's great. Thank you, Matilda. So I've made a comment about primary schools, saying that it's maybe a bit early to talk about cybersecurity at the primary school level. And Nisha has corrected me, saying that there are lots of games and applications accessible to primary school children, and even at that level, it may be possible to get them interested in cybersecurity. So I think that's a very good comment. Thank you, Nirosha. And we will now move to our final question.
But I just would like to add some comment about the primary school. Actually, last summer we had this summer camp at Cardiff University for children. I don't know, maybe 9 years. And also we had cryptography exercises for them. So basically, it wasn't so hard to explain what is cybersecurity, like some parts of them, because what I realized, children, they pick up information much quicker than we are. We do this, believe me. I'm just amazed about this. So maybe it will be easier for them to understand than for us to explain.
That's very good. Yeah, that's a very good example. Thank you. So our final question is, how could girls be supported and encouraged to consider career in cybersecurity? So I think we already had lots of ideas, maybe just a quick summary from each of you on the main points. So what are the main points and how can we help the girls to choose cybersecurity? Matilda, is that okay if we start with you, please?
Yes, so I think that a topic we've already discussed is communication around the breadth of security jobs that exist. I think that there are certain kind of like sexier security jobs, like things like pen testing, which get when I speak to university students, they like all want to be pen testers, but that's actually a small proportion of the workforce. And it's important to think about the kind of life that you want as well. And some security jobs are really stressful, and others are much more about long-term planning. And it depends how close you are to the kind of cold face of the response in a way. And I think that perhaps there's room for some kind of mentorship networks where we people who are working in security offer a certain amount of time, or even just in a really casual, accessible way, it kind of messaging platform where people can even anonymously post questions or privately send messages saying, I'm thinking about this, and what would you advise? But it always seems in advising people how to go forward with their careers, you want the person who's just 1 or 2 steps ahead of them. So maybe as well as security professionals, it's people who are studying cybersecurity degrees who would be great to speak to people at school to kind of encourage them to go in that direction. Maybe a kind of panel like we've got today is good combination, actually.
Very good. Yeah, thank you, Matilda. Irina, just a quick summary, some advice on supporting girls.
Honestly, I agree with Matilda. I also would like to follow the same approach, but also maybe I just would like to add something like maybe we can run like some like week, cybersecurity week, so girls will get more insight what is into cybersecurity, different fields. Maybe they can like have real cases, because like recently we had a like good lecture where we our guest just explained a real case, so that was much more interesting, and much more we got more information from real life rather than theory. So this is like maybe can encourage more, and also from different fields, not only like from programming side, also from different like businesses or something like that. So maybe this another way to do this.
Very good. Yeah, I'm sure that will be an efficient approach. Thank you, Irina. Maria, do you have anything to add? Any advice and recommendations?
Just basically to get primary and secondary schools to emphasize the importance of doing cybersecurity, and even if they don't incorporate it into their like subject area in computer science or IT, maybe encourage students to take summer schools in security subjects and things like that, because there's plenty around, they just never really get said.
Very good. Yeah, I think that's just arranging different types of activities is a very good idea. Thank you, Maria, Irina, and Matilda. Thank you so much for taking part in this discussion today. And now I would like to invite Susan, who is leading and coordinating our outreach activities at the School of Computer Science. We were not sitting and doing nothing. We were actively supporting girls and encouraging interest in cybersecurity and computer science and cybersecurity as a part of it. And Susan will give us a quick overview of all the amazing activities that our outreach team was running in the past.
Thank you very much, Julia. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for having me just to do a bit of chatting. I'll try and keep this as brief as we can, but we do have lots of fun things to tell you about. So like Julia said, my name's Susan. I am the School and College Liaison Officer within the School of Computer Science and Informatics at Cardiff University. Basically, our outreach team sits within the School of Computer Science. We're partnered with an organisation called Technicamps, which is a Pan-Wales organisation, which does all sorts of incredible work, including working with primary schools, secondary schools, working with teachers, because like everyone has said so eloquently, it's so important that we start engaging and start getting people enthusiastic and we have to start with young people, but we also have to start with teachers, as they are in that classroom, and we have to break down the fear that exists around computer science and cybersecurity language. We also operate our STEM Ambassador Scheme, which Irina is a member of and touched on briefly, and that is we employ our students in the school as an employment scheme. So they deliver and facilitate our sessions in schools for us, under being employed by the school. And that just means that the students have people delivering their sessions who are much closer in age to them than possibly some of their teachers. And they are also enthusiastic, really cool people, and they are a real benefit to the school. But we are aware of the diversity issues that we have within computer science and in cybersecurity, both gender, race. We are aware of those diversity issues, and we really want to do more within our school to target those. So I just want to highlight 2 projects that I'm very proud of. I've been in the role since November, which is sort of new-ish in this world. So just want to highlight 2 projects that we've worked on. So one's called She Inspires Me, which is a project that we run for International Women's Day this year. As I'm sure you are all aware, the world went a bit bonkers, and therefore schools were operating from home learning. So we wanted to come up with a project this year that was a bit different. She Inspires Me was a project which ran over 2 weeks and worked with 3 high schools in South East Wales. So we worked with 77 students in total. 80% of those were female, 20% were male. And the idea was that we provided them with an inspiration pack where we asked members of staff within the university to put together profiles of women in computer science and STEM subjects that were inspiring to them. They could also be personal, so it could be their mum or their grandma, but it had to be somebody that possibly that the students wouldn't have known about. And the students then had 2 weeks to come up with a profile of someone that they found inspiring. This could have been through their research. So on the screen are a couple of scientists that the students came across that they'd never heard of before and thought their stories were really interesting, or it could have been somebody personal. But we really wanted to break down this idea that STEM subjects, computer science subjects, there is only men in charge of these science topics. That's not true. Let's break that down. So we wanted to give them real life people that had done incredible things and incredible work. And the response we had really was surprising. A lot of the students really got on board and has since push the students to keep doing their research. I had an email from one of the teachers that some of the students are now doing a monthly favourite scientist competition. So they all put in votes as to who they think should be. So that's been something we were really proud of and something we hope to do again. Another project that we were a part of, which started in November, was a project called Impact Gamers. This was a project that we worked with on partnership with ourselves, Cardiff Science Festival, Impact Gamers, which is a UK-based games development company that have won all sorts of awards. And we also work with Girl Guides, and we worked with Girl Guide Cymru to build a selection of games based on scientific research. And they came up with some brilliant stuff. There was one that was like you had to hunt down all of the good blood cells. It was really funny. But it was just breaking down this idea that it's boring and that it is not for them. And that's something that really came out of it. And their games were all tested by a Twitter influencer. No idea who, I'm not a Twitter, but you know what I mean. But those were 2 projects that we really enjoyed, and we are trying to find innovative ways to break down how we have built this barrier up. And I think it's something, it's bigger than us, and it's a gender thing, but it's also something that we have to do within the School of Computer Science and working with cybersecurity. So what have we got coming up next, just to make you excited? So the couple of things that we have coming up, we have started our partnership with Cardiff Women's Aid. So we did a series of sessions looking at personal development, but also trying to break down the language around computer science and cybersecurity, which went down really well. And we're hoping to work with them as they open up a centre for young vulnerable girls. And that's something we're looking to do going forward in this academic year, possibly September onwards. We've also got a couple of cyber events planned. Julia mentioned the Cyber First Adventures, which we have coming up on the 15th of May. And we're also looking at trying to get some other cyber events in this academic year, obviously in consideration that schools are trying to catch up. But we are hopeful that we'll be able to plan something when things start to, touch wood, calm down. We also, with Technicamps run a series of seminars and webinars around women in STEM, girls in technology, which are really interesting. And you can visit their website, technicamps.com, which have all of their upcoming speakers. We also have an event coming up called Spring into STEM, which will be very similar to this in nature, where we will be hosting a series of career panel discussions, and it will be aimed at both primary and secondary, because as we've spoken, I don't believe there is a too young an age to get people interested in STEM subjects. And we're really lucky that we're working collaboratively across the university, and we're possibly looking at 8 or 9 different subjects and schools from the university to be involved with that. So that's going to be really exciting. We're also developing the idea of mentoring. I know that one of the students on the panel mentioned this, but there is no one better to mentor than students who are currently doing it, because all of those walls get broken down. So mentoring is something we are looking into, and something that we hope to do using our STEM ambassadors. And finally, a commitment that we have made going forwards, no matter what, is that we will always have a diverse session leader. So there will always be a mix of male and female STEM ambassadors, just so that, again, we're breaking down the idea that it's just boys that are interested in these things. I hope I've kept within 5 minutes. I could go on for hours, but I promise I won't. But I've left up my email and our news website for anybody who would like further information, and please do follow us on Twitter. Hopefully that's okay. Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Susan. That's absolutely amazing. So you can see a broad range of initiatives that we have in this area. So please do get in touch if you have any questions. And to finish off this session in an interactive way, I would like to invite everyone, our panelists and audience, to submit your words describing women and cybersecurity. So we will be producing this word cloud describing this area, and let's make it inspirational. Let's inspire girls to choose cybersecurity as a career by presenting it in a positive way. So please do send your description and understanding of the role of women in cybersecurity. And on this positive note, I will keep this open. I will keep open this Menti.com slide for everyone to submit their feedback. And I would like to thank massively the Chartered Institute of Information Security for inviting us today, for hosting this event and giving us the opportunity to present and to discuss this very important topic. And I would like to thank all our panelists and participants for taking part, for providing insightful comments, for making very interesting suggestions. So we are planning to write it up and present it, and present a short summary. So if you're interested, please do get in touch, and I will share the comments and the suggestions with everyone who is interested. So finally, thank you everyone, to all of you, and I hope to see you in the next seminar in this series.
Thank you so much, everybody. It was a brilliant session, and our next session, just to add on what Yulia said, our next session will be on the 19th of May. So if you haven't registered already and you like, it's going to be on social engineering and hacking. So if you like the sound of that, please do head over to our website or our LinkedIn page, and you'll be able to register there. So we hope you see you on the next one. Thank you all so much to our panelists, as Yulia said, for bringing us such an important webinar, and we hope to see you all on the next one. Have a lovely evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.